What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's north coast is reeling from the effects of Typhoon Krathon, even as the storm itself has passed. John Van Trieste has this update.
It took over 50 firefighters several hours to free a man trapped behind this northern Taiwan house after a sudden landslide hit. He was clearing the muck Typhoon Krathon left in the space between his back wall and a mountain slope. Despite being pinned to the ground by a boulder, he was conscious and able to talk. To save him, firefighters had to tear down this wall.
从他姐姐家的这个房间的后侧呢，打穿这个墙壁，那将这个患者呢从这个缝隙当中把他救出来。那我们后续呢将这位林姓患者送到三军总医院进行相关的一个救治。
Scenes like this played out across northern Taiwan well into Friday. Though the typhoon made landfall on the opposite side of the island, it still brought record rainfall all the way here, enough to overwhelm even this famously rainy corner of the country. In the Ruifang district, where over 100 centimeters of rain fell in just 2 days, firefighters had to use a rope pulley system to send food to an indigenous village cut off by landslides, enough for the more than 100 residents trapped there. They also managed to help someone needing dialysis clamber down the mountainside using the same ropes to steady himself. Though everyone is fine for now, the community's leader says the storm damage has been immense. Even an important cultural space where locals hold their harvest festival was damaged.
蛮严重的，因为我们现在目前我们下面的那个石林仔啊，已经掏空了，快垮下来了，连那个广场也差不多了，只怕说又垮下来这样子。
And it isn't just the rural mountains suffering. The port city of Keelung has seen major landslides in residential areas, leaving people there frightened.
我要上去砍树的时候，就突然间土石流下来，我们4个摩托车赶快爬逃下来啊！我们被土石流追着下来呢。你的车在上面。
Although the storm itself has dissipated, its effects may be felt for a long time to come. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
3 people across the country have died in typhoon-related accidents. A farmer in Taitung died after he was swept away by floodwaters while trying to clear debris from a drainage ditch. Meanwhile, the bodies of a couple in New Taipei's Jinshan district were recovered after the area flooded. Taiwan's coastal areas received record levels of rainfall when Typhoon Krathon hit the country earlier this week. Taiwan's 2025 budget is stalled again. That's after opposition lawmakers insisted on sending it back to the cabinet for revision. Rick Glauert has more on how Taiwan's split government is making politics problematic in the country.
Taiwan's government is struggling to pass its budget for 2025. That's as the legislature, which is in the hands of 2 opposition groups, the Kuomintang or the KMT and the Taiwan's People's Party, the TPP, once again refuses to pass it, effectively tossing it back to cabinet. This is now the 2nd time they've done similar action, and they're opposing the budget largely on procedural grounds. They're saying that items included are not fully funded. Taiwan's premier, the leader of the cabinet, has called this stalemate regrettable and frustrating. Lawmakers on both sides of the fence are blaming party politics.
也希望我们的行政院能够真正的诚实面对问题解决问题，而不是想要利用拖延的战术。
就是希望能够让总预算现在赶快进来立法院。来进行细部的、详细的，而且是实质的审查，而不是现在流于政治上面的操作。
Ideally, the 2025 budget should be passed a month before the end of the year, so about the end of November. And so the clock is therefore ticking on this one. But don't worry, we're not going to see a US-style government shutdown. Most of all of the basic services have already been funded. But this is causing a headache for President Taitung as he looks to make good on some of his election promises, things like raises for public sector workers and funding his defense programs, such as building submarines domestically. 6 months into his time in office, this split government and hostile legislature proving a real test for the president. Ryan Wu and Rick Glauert in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Supreme Court has upheld the life sentence given to a man who killed, robbed and raped a woman in 2014. The murderer, surnamed Liu, was given the death sentence in 4 previous verdicts. But after several appeals, the court ruled his crime was not premeditated. Under Taiwanese law, such random killings do not carry the death penalty. In September, Taiwan's constitutional court ruled to keep capital punishment, but said it should only be used in the most extreme cases. Japan's new Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru has outlined how he will manage relations with China.
我が国として主張すべきは主張し、責任ある行動を強く求めつつ、諸懸案を含め対話を行い、共通の諸課題については協力する。建設的かつ安定的な関係を日中双方の努力で構築していきます。
Relations between the countries have become strained in recent years. The two countries are close economically but have territorial disputes. Ishiba also promised to deepen security links with like-minded nations such as South Korea. India has been hit by another wave of deadly flooding, this time in Uttar Pradesh in the north.
बहुत दिक्कत होती खेती बाड़ी हम लोग को डूब गया फसल पूरा तैयार करके फिर से पूरा चला गया और कई समस्या घर डूब गए किसी जन फंसे हुए हैं इसमें
Rivers have burst their banks. Flooding has left locals wading through chest-high water and destroyed swaths of farmland. South Asia has been experiencing an extreme monsoon season. Flooding and storms have caused about 1,500 deaths in India alone. The EU is sticking to planned tariffs of up to 45% on electric vehicles from China, despite opposition from Germany. It's a move one car maker in China calls a pity.
It's strange that they are asking everyone to change and make the transition to electric vehicle, and in the same time they impose such big tariff on the vehicles. It will only make the vehicle more expensive for the customer in the near future.
The EU says it's imposing tariffs for 5 years, starting next month, to combat unfair Chinese subsidies. There is still the chance of a compromise, though, a minimum sales price for Chinese-made electric cars within the EU. Turning fish into fashion might sound far-fetched, but for one group of women in Costa Rica, it's become an empowering new career path, with sustainability at its core. Bringing in the catch of the day, this fisher's haul is not just destined for the dinner table. A much more glamorous fate awaits these fish. In this coastal town in Costa Rica, 70-year-old Marta Sosa prepares sea bass skin for use as fabric. She's one of 15 women who make up Piel Marina, or the Marine Skin Cooperative, a startup all about turning fish into fashion.
Bueno, limpiar primero, después lo agarramos y lo lavamos con jabón y todo, como que estuviéramos lavando la ropa, ¿verdad? Y hacemos el teñido, lo teñimos con glicerina y alcohol y tinte, y después los ponemos en secado.
Housewives until a few years ago, Sosa and colleague Maureen Castro wanted to start bringing money in for the family. That's when they started to use fish skin to make leather, turning an animal byproduct into a sustainable source of fabric, and providing these women with some financial independence.
Porque al principio no creíamos en este reto, porque decíamos como una piel, que es algo que se pone hediondo, que es un contaminante, va a llegar a ser materia prima para mujeres para poder salir adelante.
With training from Marine Resources NGO Marviva, the women have become artisanal tanners, selling fish skin fabric to textile factories, and even producing their own bespoke line of jewelry.
Estamos ya cuando están listas, secas de viaje, porque las entablamos, entonces nosotros hacemos las bisuterías, aretes, collares, pulseras y tenemos en el proyecto tenemos hacer bolsos y monederos también.
Piel Marina's products are also a small part of a solution to a big problem. Fast fashion is a major global polluter, with one UN report finding that the fashion industry is responsible for 9% of all microplastics in the world's oceans. Confident in her unique and sustainable products, Castro has big dreams for her line of fishy fashion.
Ok, me gustaría que se viera en las pasarelas de Hollywood, me gustaría que se viera en Canadá, me gustaría que se viera en París, en las grandes pasarelas de París, donde están los grandes.
And with sustainable fashion a hot trend on international catwalks, this line of marine merchandise could be the next in vogue. Leon Lien and Reece for TaiwanPlus. China's pro wrestling circuit has been fighting for recognition and financial stability for years. But with new promotions attracting fresh audiences in one of the world's biggest markets, that may soon change. Bryn Thomas reports.
Chinese pro wrestler Wang Tao says American actor Mickey Rourke inspired him to run away from home at 17.
我是在很小的时候，大概5、6年级的时候，通过电影频道看了一部叫《摔跤王》的电影，然后从此就迷上了摔跤，然后一直就是在反反复复在上学的时候有去看摔跤的一些视频和比赛。
After years of training and some serious injuries, Wang Tao now holds the title of a Belt and Road champion. But like the wrestler Rourke plays in the movie, he still struggles to make ends meet. He takes side gigs to keep his head above water in China's small but committed scene.
之前就是通过除了训练和比赛，其他的时间就会去做一些兼职啊，包括我什么服务员、什么各种工作都干过。因为毕竟现在在国内，靠摔跤比赛去挣钱、去维持自己的生活特别难。
Part sport and part entertainment, pro wrestling is known as a stereotypically American spectacle, one that cultural critics call hetero drag. Athletes take on hyper-masculine personas to fight epic battles in good versus evil stories. Their colorful characters, makeup, costumes, and endless melodrama create something akin to a soap opera for teenage boys. And with each fight choreographed and the winner predetermined, fans are guaranteed a spectacle. But despite its success in the US, pro wrestling still struggles to find audiences in China.
中国的市场跟外国的市场是完全不一样的，比如卖门票的赛事啊，什么各方面的。在中国是一个很庞大的一个市场，但是我们还没有完全的打开。我们也现在一直在致力于做这件事情，怎么样打开中国的市场。
Despite the challenges, pro wrestlers in China, both foreign and local, are determined to push forward, traveling across the country to events like this one in Shanghai, organized by Middle Kingdom Wrestling, the MKW.
China is obviously such a large country, and with so many of the fans fragmented, but definitely, I would say like we have more followers, more people are paying attention to us than ever before. The dream would be that more people can make a living from wrestling. You can see a lot of people here. This is what they're good at. And I think they deserve to be able to make a living at what they're good at.
Wang Tao would welcome the income, but is not motivated by it. For the moment, the chance to pursue his dreams, and in this case, win the Belt and Road Championship, is enough.
金腰带继续挂在了我的肩上，非常感谢 MKW 提供了这次比赛的机会，让我能够站在擂台上去向大家证明我的实力，让大家证明我的梦想、我的坚持是无懈可击的。
Kama Shu and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, come with us to this Tibetan Buddhist temple hidden in the mountains of Uruguay. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.